Peace, blessings, love, and light to you all. We are the MM Podcast, and thank you all for tapping in once again. Queen Alana, what has been going on with you?
Hey, nothing much and a whole lot at the same time,
Do tell,
but it's good
do
to be
tell,
here.
please.
Uh, not right
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, I guess I have to wait with everybody else then.
now.
Um,
Yeah, I'm still waiting from last week, but go ahead.
okay. Shots fired. Okay.
Out the
Um,
gate.
out definitely out the gate today. Um, Welcome everyone back to the MM podcast again. Today's episode is going to be spiritual awakenings revealed. If you did tap in last time to the last episode that we did, which was our actual first premiere episode for the podcast, um, we went over spiritual journeys. I don't have confetti, so she's over there dancing. I don't have the confetti to pop right now. Um, So this episode, we're definitely going to give you all some deeper what do you want to what how would you call it? We wouldn't call it a story because it's not a story.
I would say experiences,
Okay, we'll go with
like just
experiences.
sharing our spiritual journey experiences, like getting more into detail about our awakening process, I guess, if you will. Some of the
Yes,
things you
yes,
experienced or I experienced.
yes. And briefly, let me go ahead and for the ones that are tuned in or tapped in and they do not understand and overstand that there's a difference between a spiritual awakening and actually having a spiritual journey or going through a spiritual journey. A lot of people get this, and I've ran across a lot of people that actually misunderstand what those two are. Um, and me and Queen Alana, we actually had a conversation prior to the show, and she was like, "Hey, do you mind breaking this down? Because this is some information that people that are tapped in may not understand and overstand." And I totally agree. And it's definitely a two split road. So the spiritual awakening side is the occurrence of the events that caused you to start your spiritual journey or to take your first steps on your spiritual journey. They are the reasons or the happenings or the situations that put you in a situation to where you either wanted to or you needed to start your spiritual journey. So that whole thing boils down to spiritual awakenings. And like I said, we're going to get into our personal story, our personal
Experiences.
there you go, our personal
I'm like, why
experiences.
keep pointing at me?
Because I forgot the word, and I was like, I'll pass it to you real quick. Um, so yeah, those experiences and happenings that we have endured and encountered and overcame,
Hmm.
conquered. We are definitely going to get into our personal side of that, and just to all let you all know exactly where we come from as far as our spiritual journeys and our spiritual awakenings. Um, and I believe that it's very important, especially for people that have, let's say, talk shows and podcasts, right? How many viewers actually know enough information about the people that, they're giving their time and energy to, right?
Hmm.
So this is definitely a part of my mission for the community to grow with me, and also for you to understand and overstand where I come from, what angles I'm coming from, and what kind of energy and vibration, aka frequencies, I'm bringing with me. So I'm not just coming on here doing any kind of mumbo jumbo. Um,
Right.
just trying to get subscribers and views. Like I do this because I have a passion for who I am. First of all, I have an appreciation for who I have become. Um,
Mhm. Say
and
that.
I have a dedication to the divine, which is the source that put me in this position that I'm in to make this happen. So um, I'm here 110%. It's all me. I'm genuine, just like Queen Alana. Um, I think I speak for both of us when I say that we have the same energy when it comes to our passion for what it is that we do. Whether it's helping people, healing people, you name it. I think we both have that same passion, and I think that's what drew us. That connection between us. Um, so Queen Alana, just for the viewers out there and
Mhm.
this our soul tribe. Um, what do you remember about your first experience that led you on your spiritual path, aka the awakening? What
Mhm.
was it? What was it for you that made you get to that point where you said, you know what, I have to react, I have to do something about this, and I have to change some things.
Okay. Um, I'll just give a quick background, and if my eyes start to wander, it's because I'm,
No, it's
like,
it's.
reliving the experience, you know? So, if I'm not looking directly at you, just
I'm pretty sure
forgive
we
me
can
for
all
that.
understand that. It's nothing
Yeah,
personal.
I'm
Believe me,
reliving
this
it.
is no judge. Yeah, this is no judgment zone. But for anybody,
Okay.
watching or tapped in, this is a no judgment zone. So do not come in here trying to come for nobody. Um, this is real spiritual beings giving you real experiences and situations.
So, I think we touched on last time, I was saying how, for me, like, starting my spiritual journey was me trying to get answers, trying to, uh, I guess, know who I am, or try to find other people that were like me, because it was just some of the gifts, the things I saw was I knew it wasn't regular, right?
Hmm.
I wasn't raised religious in no way, shape, or form. Now we had my mother would send us to church on Easter, but we wasn't religious. She'll Psalm 23 was her thing. Psalm 23, Psalm 23. That was about it. So I wasn't raised with religion or anything. I just had these gifts. Um, and so in my early 20s, not revealing my age, in my early 20s, I actually I met a young lady and we became friends, and we bonded on the fact that she had spiritual gifts too. Um, so I no longer felt like the weird girl, right? I'm like, "Oh, okay, good. Finally somebody gets where I'm coming from with this stuff." And I wasn't familiar with religion. Again, I was familiar with Islam because my brother was in the Nation of Islam. Um, and a little bit of Christianity, I guess, because I would go to church and fall asleep on Easter. Like, that was about it. So I met this young lady. We was the same age. Actually, we went to high school together, but we wasn't friends in high school. She remembered me from high school. I didn't really remember her.
Hmm.
And she kept saying to me, because I was kinda, like, helping her out, and she was in this, religion, basically, and she kept saying, "Oh, I want you to meet my godfather." So this religion, I grew up in the Bronx, it's called Santeria, and she's like, "Oh, my godfather wants to meet you." Are you familiar with it? Have you ever heard of it? It
No,
has
I've
many
not.
names.
I haven't. I've been in New York a few times. Um, for
I mean, it's
anyone
just
that,
not, but
yeah, where is that? Is that like upstate? Where is that in New York?
So I grew up in the Bronx, but this is just basically this was like, I guess you could say, like, the Are you familiar with the Orishas, Yoruba, West Africa, any of that? Ifa?
Yes. Hmm.
So this is ooh, what happened there? You went oh, okay. There you go.
So
This
it can go
is
anywhere.
well, on my screen, it went like that, and you
Yeah, I
went
saw it.
missing. I was like, "Oh, okay. Don't do me like that." That's gonna make it seem like I'm bugging. I know I saw it. But basically,
I saw it too.
that's what it is. It's basically
Mm,
like the Yoruba religion as it went to different islands, it got different names in Puerto Rico, whatever,
mm,
Santeria. So in the Bronx, this these were Puerto Ricans, right?
mm.
The guy, whatever. So long story short, she I kept my intuition was saying no, right? But the way she was describing everything, like, "Oh, it's, West Africa and da da da." She was giving me the breakdown and, all the different gifts and how her godfather knew how to read people and all of this stuff. And he really wanted to meet
Mm.
me to thank me for helping her out.
Oh, so he can read people, but he wanted to thank you personally.
He wanted to meet me in person and thank me for helping out his goddaughter. And he was a santero and also a palero. And
Mm,
palo is would be considered for some people, I guess, like the darker side
mm.
of Santeria, right? So fast forward, I meet these people. They seemed all right, or maybe they had already done a spell on my ass because
I'm pretty sure that's what happened by this time. So I'm gonna just keep going because I'm trying to find something to take notes, and I'm gonna definitely
I see you
investigate
over
this
there
one afterwards.
fidgeting.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to do a
Uh,
full investigative report on what happened to you.
what happened to me was I was searching for myself. I was
Mm,
searching for I didn't like I could literally I'll never forget, I dreamt this guy's whole death down to the street that
mm,
he got killed on. I dreamt this whole murder, and, like, things like that, I was, like, really trying to understand, and, like,
mm,
okay, so if I see that, do I tell the person? Because one of the things that I suffered from was guilt. Like, when he got killed, I was like, "Damn, what if I woulda told him, 'Hey, I had a dream, blah, blah, blah,' but I didn't wanna come off as a weirdo, and I didn't want him to think
right.
that I liked him or was lusting at like, oh, he's in my dreams," It was like that
Hmm.
fine line. So I was just
And,
searching for answers.
and
What?
not to interrupt your
Go ahead, 'cause I need some water.
go ahead, go ahead. So what amazes me really is we sometimes get into situations, right, and we meet people, especially once we've tapped into what it is, our particular gifts, right? We
Mhm.
tap into these gifts and we feel as though no one can really understand us and overstand us. They
Relate.
understand us. Yeah, they understand us, but they don't understand and overstand us. And for us, and I don't remember if I mentioned this on the last episode, um, but sometimes we just tend to go into like hermit mode, right? We don't want to talk to anybody about the things that we experience. And being when we have certain gifts, we don't express things to quote unquote outsiders, right? We tend to keep those things bottled up inside of us because we figure, you know, we're kind of off and people may think we're weird. So we think that we're better off not saying anything. Now, my money is betting. Um, he probably knew that
You
you
done
knew.
tapped all the way into it, but go ahead.
Yeah, and that's just what I'm feeling. Like that's what we do, right? But
Go ahead, let me hear it.
I'm really
Let me
feeling
hear
that.
it.
I'm really feeling that he knew that you knew what was going to happen to him, or that you saw something and somehow, some way, he knew and confirmed it within himself, and it was just for you and him to know about, but he wasn't going to speak on it, and for for that reason, you didn't go to him, and he definitely wasn't going to bring it up, but I'm pretty sure he knew that you knew. Um, just oh
He
man, I just got a little
knew
chill just now,
he kinda
but I'm
okay, so here's the thing. Let me be abundantly clear. I was helping this
mhm,
young lady out financially. She was going
mhm,
through, like, a financial time, and I'm the type of person, there's no way I'm gonna see you hungry, I'm gonna see you in need, I'm gonna see your children, and I have. And I'm not
right,
coming off
right,
as like I'm so high and mighty, but at that time, she was in need, and I had to help. So that's what
mhm,
I was doing. And what he saw was a lottery ticket. Like, look at this little generous fool. you know, bring her on over here and let's see how we can milk this cow. And that's pretty much what happened. Now, don't get me wrong. I learned a lot being um being in that house. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about spirits, and I learned about the Orisha. Like, I learned a lot. And for me, um, I won't say that I'll just say this. As horrible as the experience was when it
mhm.
came to certain things, like these people, they were putting stuff in my food. Like it was wild. It was
Wait,
wild.
wait, wait,
Yeah.
wait, wait. Oh, you know what? I'm not even going to hit the sound effects button on that today. Hold up.
You don't need no sound effects for what I'm
So
revealing. Spiritual awakenings revealed. Yeah, you don't need no sound effects.
anything besides hot sauce is not permitted in anybody's food unless
Oh
given
no,
permission.
that people will put some stuff in your food.
Oh, I believe it. I believe it.
You ever hear
I
the
can't.
stories of the girls making the spaghetti on their period, on their menstrual?
You know what? You need to
Be
stop.
appropriate.
Get out of my head because I was
I
just
knew
getting ready to
it.
tell you about I was getting ready to tell you about my first marriage. Um, and she was Creole. Her whole family, they're Creole. You get out of my head. Get out of my head, Alana.
So you ate her spaghetti?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, like that was a home cooked meal for me. But you know what? That's a different show. But I don't think hamburger helper. Well, maybe does that consider it like the same thing?
It's the sauce. It's the
Yeah, that's what I
sauce.
mean. The sauce, not the actual the meal prep, right? But the sauce, the spaghetti meal sauce, whatever.
You get the
Um,
special sauce.
I felt a lot of resistance leaving that marriage. I felt a lot of resistance, um,
Mm.
and it didn't really hit home um, until there was a situation. Um, her grandmother had passed, and I remember I was at the
Oh, you
funeral.
said that on you said that last week. You told us that.
Did I?
I didn't know
Okay.
that was your ex-wife. I thought it was some like, like a girlfriend you just did. I
The,
didn't know that was your ex-wife. I don't think you said
no, no. I'm not gonna stick around for all that. No, no. There's got to be a lot more paperwork involved. You know, no. So when that situation happened, and the pastor literally walked back up to the little pulpit altar. It was a female pastor, by the way, which really doesn't matter. It was a pastor. Um, and as everybody's coming back to to their seats from viewing the body, um, she says the curse has been lifted. So I don't know what in me decided to make me rise to my feet and I walked directly outside. I walked straight to the parking lot.
With your Newport 100.
Like, with the Newports, I was tap 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 tap. I went straight for a cigarette after that. Um, I don't know what happened in there or what was said after that. I
Yo,
just
this
know, oh, it was so uncomfortable. And I've 14 years in the military. I've never, even in a combat situation, have I ever felt. Well, I'm not gonna say that because I'm gonna get to my whole situation here with this awakening thing. But that
mhm.
was the first time where I felt uneasy about just somebody saying simple words. And like I said, I don't know what it was.
Can I
Um,
ask you, like, how old was you around that time?
um, I was about, I want to say I was about 23. I was about
That's
23.
interesting. That's interesting. Hear that number
Well,
again,
what?
23.
Yeah, and I was born on February 23rd. Um,
Mm,
but I
5
was around
minutes.
23. Um, so yeah, that
You
kind of
you wanna know how old I was when I had this
please
whole
please tell
experience?
please do tell because I've already see it coming. So 24, 20, 23.
I was 22 and a half I was going into my 23rd year.
Mm,
23 is, like, when everything kicked off because the backstory was, um, when I was 22, I had gotten hit by a car,
mm,
and, I had a lawsuit, and he saw all of that. So, it was very, strategic, you
mm.
know, even though the lawsuit wasn't settled, when I was helping her
Mhm.
out, that wasn't lawsuit money. That was just
Right, right.
whatever I had,
So
but
okay, so the gentleman
I wouldn't call him a
that
gentleman.
okay, well the entity, the guy,
The
right?
demon.
So was he actually a witness to this accident?
No. No. So, when I got hit by the car, I knew her. I didn't know him at that
Okay.
time,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
When I got hit by the car, I didn't know him. But I had already known her. I had known her a few months, I think, at that
Mhm.
time, like, outside of us, I guess, seeing each other in high school or her
Mhm.
noticing me. I didn't know him when I got hit by the car. Now, I don't know if that's information. I will say this. I don't feel like she set me up. I feel like she was
Mhm.
genuine and you know what I'm saying? Like she didn't know she was a pawn being used. And I
Right,
say
right,
that with a
right,
with a clear conscience. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't my beef wasn't with her at
right.
all. Um Although she did know about some of his ways because he had been taking her money. That's why she didn't have any. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? She didn't have because he had already sucked her dry.
Mhm.
So anyway,
No,
I got
that's cool.
introduced yeah, I got introduced to Santeria, the Orishas, and things of that nature. Stuff was a little wild. Eventually I did get my lawsuit and man, every time I turned around, I was being taxed. Um
Mhm.
so his tactic was this, and I know I'm kind of like all over the place, and my intention is to hopefully someone sees this and it triggers something in their brain to say, and don't get me wrong, my beef is not with anybody who's a santera, a palera. One of my good friends, she's a palera. My beef is
Mhm.
not with them. It's like saying all black people are drug dealers or something. You can't put everybody in a group like that. This is just
Right.
one of the bad seeds. You know what I'm saying? One of the bad seeds. That's all. Giving this um spiritual practice or religion a bad name.
Mhm.
So um one of the things he did was he would always tell me something was gonna happen. So now something's gonna happen. You need money to buy this, you know, this thing, that thing. I had allegedly become one of his godchildren, right?
Mhm.
Um, and with that came a price tag. It's almost like
It
it's not
it
funny,
makes
but
it's making sense to me. No, I'm tracking. I'm tracking. I'm right there with you.
because like I was very young and impressionable, right?
Mhm.
And so I gave him these people the benefit of the doubt, and I enjoyed the practice as far as, like, learning about the Orishas. I felt more connected to my African culture, you know what I'm saying? Because
Mhm.
there is a disconnect between the African Americans who you dropped here, you don't really have no connection to your roots, so
Mhm.
that helped
At
me
that point, we're
connect.
Americans. There's no more African in there. It's
Right.
just American. Yeah. Go ahead.
It it helped me yeah, it helped me to feel like I was connecting to my roots, to my people.
Mhm.
Um, and my mother was like to me one day, "Watch it with that man. Like, it's something about him I don't like." She did warn me. She told me.
Mhm.
And then and he knew, he saw that. He knew that my mother saw through him. And so what he did was he would tell me things like, "Oh, ugh," I could hear his voice in my head, but he was like, "Oh, your mother don't really like you," and like he would say different things to kind of all someone needs to do is plant a seed of any
Right.
type of seed. It could be a seed of doubt, a seed of inspiration, any seed you plant, all they need to do is plant the seed. And so he would plant those seeds or whatever, play those mind games. But being there is that's what kicked off like my spiritual awakening because I experienced some stuff when it was time to
You
go.
experienced everything at once. That's what
When
it
I was
seemed like. It
fed
seemed
up.
like you got a whole bag of it all together. Like they just gave you the whole bag all at once.
And you know what's crazy? My spirit team was showing me because I would have these dreams of him, and not to be graphic or anything, I would have dreams of him like trying to have sex with me or having sex with me. And I was like, I
Mhm.
don't like this man. Like, why do I keep dreaming this? But it was literally him just screwing me over, like straight up
Right.
and
Right.
down. That's what the dream meant. And I
Right.
didn't, and I would have the dream, and then I would come around him and his wife because he was married, or New York married, or you
Right.
know how you together a long time, you're married.
Right. Right.
Um, and I would feel weird, like why do I keep having these dreams about this man? Like, ew, like I don't like you. Anyway.
Oh, that's a heavy bag to carry. I mean, it sounds like a lot, a
It
lot,
was, and
a
it
lot.
caused a rift. It caused a rift in my family. Um, it caused a lot of drama.
Mhm.
And when I finally had enough and I was ready to go, then came like the threats, like, "Oh, I'm going to the cemetery. I'm burying you. Like,
Right.
that's
Right.
it. You're losing your." He was like to me, "I'm gonna make you lose your job. I'm gonna make you lose your apartment. You're gonna lose everything." I was like, "All right, fuck it." Like, I guess
And
it's
that
on.
right, and that's when the spiritual journey begins.
And
Um.
that's where it began. Me
Yep.
laying
And
on my bed. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. I'll probably tap back into it. But I was on my bed. I'll never forget. I was on my bed. I had already told him, "I'm done. Don't come near my house no more." Like, cause you may be doing the spiritual stuff, but you'll get beat up. Like, I'm ready to take it to the streets. So, like, don't come over here no more. Y'all bugging, right?
Mhm.
And I was laying on my bed one day and I wasn't asleep. I was just laying there and I just felt the dirt from the cemetery being tossed on me. And I couldn't
Mm.
even breathe. Yeah, I felt it. Like, I felt when he went
Mm.
and I'm feeling the dirt and like I can't breathe. And I'm like, I'm not asleep, but I'm like in a trance, I guess, or uh I don't even not wanna know. I don't even know what state I was in, but I
Mm.
felt it. I felt the dirt being tossed on me.
Some type of
And I remember
hypnosis, some type of
gasping.
yeah.
Hypnosis?
He did something to you. He
Oh, no,
definitely put something over you.
that mofo was at the cemetery. He was keeping his word. He was at the cemetery burying me to kill me.
What? Wait. I'm thinking this is a whole like dream you're having.
No, this is real life. We talking about spiritual awakenings revealed. I'm revealing. No, I was
Y'all want to take a
laying
commercial
down.
break?
You need a
No.
commercial. I think you need a commercial break. I don't think you was expecting all of this.
Oh man. Oh,
You might need a little
this is
commercial break. I know. I what
this
I'm
is
saying is real life. I'm laying on my bed. This is after I left. I told him, leave me
mm,
alone. Don't come near my house no more. I'll punch your wife in the face. Like it got violent. Like at the time I was with my daughter's dad, thug life. He was whipping ass left and right. So
mm,
they knew not to come physically. But I was laying in my bed and spiritually I felt him at the cemetery throwing the dirt on me. And I started to suffocate a little bit. And then I jumped up like, it was like one of those things like, and I was like, oh, shizzle, what the hell? They don't. And the thing, and it's crazy because what they do is they put this fear in you, right?
mm,
So your initial response is like, oh, shoot. Like, he done told me he was gonna bury me. He done told me I was gonna lose my apartment. He done told me I was gonna lose my job. What the
mm.
hell do I do? But if you wanna take a commercial break and go
No,
into
we're
your
not taking a
story,
commercial
I
break.
could go
We don't
back.
do that here. We don't do that here. No, we don't take commercial breaks. No, we don't do that,
My
y'all.
so my point of getting this deep into it is
Mm,
to let the people know this is somebody who was a santero, a palero. It don't really matter who the hell you are. You gotta know who you serve. You know what I'm
mm.
saying?
Most
And
definitely.
when it came down to it, I didn't go to another practitioner and ask them to help me or anything like that. And I'm as you can see, I'm still sitting here, I'm still standing. I didn't lose a damn
Right,
thing.
right.
And if you wanna go back, he was the one who lost everything. He lost his apartment, he was homeless, living with the same girl I met, him and his wife. All of the
Mm,
things he threatened me with is what happened to him, and I ain't do a damn thing but pray.
mm.
I didn't do anything
Bought
but
it on
pray.
himself. Bought it on himself.
Yeah.
Um,
I used
that
yeah.
is
It was
crazy. That
serious.
is crazy.
It was wild. It was wild. I seen all kinda entities in my house. They would pin me down. It was this witch. You ever heard of, like, the witch riding you? You ever heard that expression? Where, like, it's like
Um,
you can't
is that
speak.
the yes? It's more. It's like the sleep psychosis or something like that. Sleep
They call it,
paralysis. Sleep
paralysis. Yeah, they
paralysis.
call it sleep paralysis. But I would
I think it said
literally,
sleep
like, I would
psychosis or something.
see the entity come in
Mm,
over me and then pin me down. Before I could jump up, it would pin me down,
mm.
and I try to scream, talk, and I can't.
See, I know
That
about
happened
that
for years.
particular demon. Um, I've done some research on that particular entity. Um, and I've also done some research as well on the succubus,
Mm.
that entity. And we are definitely going to get into that um, in episode 4. Episode
Oh,
4. So I'm telling
okay,
everyone now, episode
okay.
4.
This is new to me.
Yes.
Let me
I just
hear it.
decided, I just threw that up in the air just now.
Okay,
Um,
cool.
episode number 4, I want to deliver something very, very, very special to you all. Um, Special in the aspect of it's a topic that a lot of people don't want to talk about. A topic that a lot of people are afraid to talk about
Well,
because
that's
it's
why we
very,
have
very
you.
sensitive. Yes. I'm here to move mountains. I'm literally here to move mountains. And I'm gonna move them one one way or the other. I'm answering that call. I'm here to move mountains.
Many are
Um,
called.
if you were chosen. Um, but I'm definitely gonna get that. So be sure to check
Okay.
out episode
Episode
number
4.
4. I'm gonna bring
You're gonna
I'm gonna bring
see, that's gonna
everything.
be your specialty. Imma be
I'm gonna
listening
bring
and
everything.
learning because I can't say that I probably know it, but don't have a name to it, a
Hmm.
name for it. Like, I've heard of succubus, right? But
Hmm.
have I, researched? No. So, yeah,
Hmm.
I'm ready to learn.
And, and, and it's a very touchy subject, particularly. And I'll go ahead and drop this quick little gem about that particular episode that I want to do. Right.
He got them
Um,
4 fingers up too. He's serious.
fo, fo, the FO, the fo.
The
Um,
4.
it's I went through a lot. Um,
Mm,
when I was younger, in
mhm,
my teens, in my late teens, I
mm.
went through a lot. Um, so now I get
I could
to
feel that
kind
in my
of
chest. Ooh.
jump into um, my awakening, right? My spiritual awakening and my happenings or
Mhm,
my happening. Um, I've
mhm,
had multiple ones, but this one in particular was the one. Oh, I've digressed. So episode number 4, right? Number 4. Um, I started to research the succubus because I had always found myself in relationships with females. And at the end, I was always the one hurt. And
mm,
along my spiritual journey, I dug in and dug in and dug in. Once you start going down that rabbit hole, you start finding things and they start shining more and more. The deeper you go, the more they shine. So you keep digging. Um,
mm.
and I ran into this entity. Um, and I started doing research on what the purpose of this particular demon slash entity
Oh
is
my gosh, I
and
can't
what it
wait for
does.
episode 4, because I feel like I know it, I've encountered it, but I
Mhm.
didn't have, like, a full name of for
Mhm.
it or whatever.
And uh, whether people want to believe it or not, I mean, until you have experienced it, um,
Well, they probably like me, they don't have a name for it, but they had the
yeah,
experience.
right. And that was the case with me. So episode number four, y'all, number 4, FO. We're gonna get it down, and I'm gonna move some mountains and talk about some strange things when I didn't have
The
no
strange.
change. All right, so
Oh, wait, I just did a whole snort on the podcast.
oh,
Alright,
it's
I hope
cool.
y'all didn't
It's
hear
cool. No, they need to hear that.
that.
So um I was in Germany, right? I was in Germany for um about 2 years.
Mm,
Um so I was stationed in Heidelberg, Germany. This was back in 2010. Um, and I was, and it's no secret. It is not a secret. I was a military police um, at the 529th MP company out there in Heidelberg, Germany, back in 2010. Um, I was on a patrol one night, and they were kind of doing construction at the base, right? One of the back gates. They were doing construction on that road. That
Mhm.
goes through the back gate. Um, I got a call from my supervisor, and he's like, "Hey, man, I need you to go to the back gate. Somebody reported that the metal barriers, somebody moved them off the road." So I'm like, "Okay, well, who's back there this time of night anyway? And why, if they're reporting it, like, why are they back there, right?"
Mhm.
Um, so I proceed to the back gate. I get to the back gate. So they have their own security force there in Germany. It's equivalent to like our Department of Defense, right? They call them pawns guards. Um, so um, as I'm pulling up to where the barriers are supposed to be across the road, I can see that one barrier is, so it's a two-lane road, one going northbound, one going southbound.
Mhm.
I can see that the metal gates are not connected, right? Somebody has literally moved the barriers apart, right? So I'm like, okay, like maybe some kids or some, high school kids or something were back here playing around, just messing around. Um, so this pawns guard, he comes down the road right behind me, not even 3 minutes behind me. So as I see his lights at the end of the um, what do they call it? I don't know, freeway intersection. As I see him turning off the freeway, coming up the road, I said, okay, well, let me go ahead and turn around. I'll turn my patrol car around and I'll park on the side of the road. That way, when he comes up, he can have room to come down and turn his car around, right? And we can just go back down the road when we finished.
Mhm.
Um, so he's he's hauling butt, and they go by kilometers. So I'm gonna say he was going about miles per hour. He was going about a good 45, 50 miles an hour coming down that road, right? So as I'm there and I'm in the patrol car, um, I'm like, okay, let me grab my pen and my pad, right? And I'm writing everything down. Um, because of course there you have to do, the five W's every time you respond to a phone, a service call, you have to write down the five W's. So I'm writing everything down, time, location, who made the complaint, if it's anybody there. Is of course it's the barriers, they're not across the road. Um, I look up and he is literally already back in his vehicle. When I tell you I didn't even have a chance to get out of my patrol car to help him move the gate, he was already back in his vehicle. Um, he did not say one word to me. He took off. Bam, he's gone. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna just, close this report out and put my departure time on the checklist, right?
Mhm.
Hmm. This is
The
where I
heck?
start to get the chills. Um,
I'm trying to see what the heck is going on back there.
um, mm. Them chills, serious. Okay, so I'm not even thinking about the time, right? Like I'm literally at this point in 2010, I'm not even that spiritual, right? I'm not even thinking about spiritual journey. I'm not meditating. I'm not thinking about any of this. Back in 2010. Um, I did know, however, that Germany is one of those places that's very, very spiritual. Um, the spiritual presence there because of, I'm not going to say the name of the event, but
Mhm.
the people that have been to Europe, um, if you're tuned in, tapped in, and you are prior military, you've been to overseas, Germany, wherever in Europe, you know that that particular place is has a very heavy spiritual presence. And I did not. I've heard stories about it. I heard people talk about it, and I never believed it until I was there, and this particular event happened to me.
Well, what did you see?
Um,
Lord. Mm,
no, 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 no,
what
no.
happened? What happened? I wanna
It's
know what
not what I.
happened.
It's not what Well, it is what I saw. So back to where we left off. I'm in a patrol car. I'm closing out my report. The other guard, he's gone. Boom, he's hightailed. He's gone. I didn't even get a chance to shake his hand. He's gone. I look outside, and the road is pitch dark. It's like farmland that runs from the main road to the back gate. A lot of military installations are designed that way, right?
Mhm,
There's no street lights or anything, so it's completely dark. The only lights out there are the lights from my vehicle, from my patrol car.
mhm.
I look out the front windshield first because I'm watching him like haul butt. I didn't notice it until I went to go look out my driver's side window, and I didn't see my strobe lights flashing. Okay, so I'm like, I look out the window. There's no, I cannot see the reflection of my blue strobe lights on the road. So I'm like, what is going on? Because I can see the lights flashing, but it's only the right side of my flash bar that's flashing, right? um, at that point, I felt uneasy because we had just started our shift maybe an hour before that, and we do a pre-trip. You make sure everything's working in the vehicle and stuff like that, right? So I'm like, okay. So me, and being a explorer, I step
You
out of
got
the
out the
vehicle.
car?
Of course,
Yo, I I just seen you get out the car. I'm like, "Why the hell you don't watch scary movies? What the hell you doing getting out the car?"
hey,
Oh,
but this,
man.
I got my sidearm on me. I got my whole duty belt
I
on me.
don't
So I'm like,
care.
if something's out here, it's going to get it right. Like if it's something out here, like I'm gonna get out here and check this
I would have
car
pulled
because
out right behind homeboy, but go ahead.
oh, we're gonna get back to that one. So I get out the car and I'm like, okay, I can't stick my head out the window. So I open the car door. I get out and I look, and it's so half of my car is on the road. When I turned around, half of my car was on the road. The other half was on the side of the road. Um, the headlights didn't work. They were like off, like completely off. Like there's nothing. The only thing that was lighting up what was in front of me was the strobe light on the right side. Um, the dash lights and
So
everything worked inside the
the
car.
car was on,
The car was
clearly, the
on.
police car was still on, but your
Yes,
headlights didn't work anymore.
the headlights were off. The left
Okay.
side of my strobe bar was off. The right side of my strobe bar was the only thing that was flashing. That was the only light that I was seeing, but I wasn't paying attention to the outside lights because all the dash lights were working. So everything inside the car, all the dash lights, all the buttons, like everything was lit inside. I didn't notice that the lights weren't working outside until I looked up, looked out the front windshield, saw him leaving. I looked out the side window and I saw that my strobe bar wasn't working, right? So I get out, I check that. I'm like, what the crap is going on, right? So I'm like, okay. I get back in the car, shut the door, and let me uh, turn the lights off, the light switch, and then I turn it back on, the lights come on. So I'm like, okay, well, I know I hit my four-way flashers when I turned around. That's just standard, right? Pull over to the side of the road, you turn your four-way flashers on. Care if you're the police or not, you know. Even law enforcement, they do it. So I hit
Right.
the hazard button, the hazard light button. It blinked 3 times. Not even gonna hold you. It blinked 3 times. It stopped. I was like, okay. I hit it again. It blinked 3 times. It stopped. I don't know what it was. I did not touch it a third time. And I was like, okay.
Mhm.
So I grabbed my cell phone. I called my
I'm
supervisor. I'm like, hey
cold.
man, I need you to meet me at
This story is making me freezing cold. Go ahead.
I'm like, hey man, I need you to
I
meet
need a
me at the
blanket.
I need you to meet me at
You
the
joking? I'm serious. I'm freezing.
no, I'm not I'm not I know how serious it is because every time I tell this particular situation to people, and I've only told it to a handful of people, um, like I get the same thing. Like I get goosebumps. I literally get goosebumps when I explain this situation that happened to me and what
No me
the
gusta.
awakening. It was it was very awakening for me. But nonetheless, so I give him my supervisor. I tell him, hey, I need you to meet me at the shop at um, which is kind of like convenience store in the military installation. Um, so we go there, and there's like 4 other guys from my shift there. They're all getting their coffee, and he said, "Hey man, so what's wrong with your lights? What are you talking about? Something's wrong with your lights." I said, well, I just responded to that call you sent me on, and when I was there, man, like my lights were acting all funky. Like I checked the vehicle out before shift, and nothing was wrong with it. So he's like, well, when you were backing up, um, everything was fine. I said, like even the backup lights, and he's like, yeah, even the back, like every light on your vehicle was working. So he had me turn on all the strobe lights and everything again. Everything worked. So this guy, and I never forget it. So um, he practiced Wiccan. He was
Your
very
supervisor?
knowledgeable. Yeah,
Mm,
he was very
okay.
knowledgeable in the Wiccan craft.
Mhm.
Um, and those guys, they were. I knew a few of them, and I would hear them, tell their stories about, casting spells, and a couple of times they'd be like, "Hey man, you want to come hit the Ouija with us tonight?" And I'm like, "Nah, bro, I don't mess around with Ouija.
I
I
hit the
don't do that."
Ouija.
Yeah, hit the Ouija.
I got a
Like
Ouija. I got a Ouija board story, but go ahead.
he was, he was, he was like, "You want to hit the Ouija?" I'm like, "Nah." And that happened a few times, and it'd be on the weekends and stuff. And I'm like, "Nah, man, I'm not into like I pass. I
Yeah.
pass, bro. Like I shoot the dice. We play some spades. We can do dominoes, bones, whatever. I'm not messing with the Ouija, man. Like I got a better chance at a dice game than I do with a Ouija board. So
I feel like this blanket ain't big enough at this point. I'm cold,
no,
but go ahead.
so
Blanket it just keeps getting smaller.
now we had a conversation, and he's like, hey man, let me see that let me see your sheet from the call. Oh, let me see your log. So I show him my log. It's on the clipboard. I hand him my clipboard, and he's reading over it, like I could see him like he's messing with his glasses, and like I'm not sure if he's trying to be funny, but then he's
Mhm.
like, um, he said, "Hey man," he's like, hey, come over here. Let me just step over here for me real quick. I was like, yeah, was at the time I was corporal. So he's like, hey, corporal, come over here. I'm like, what's up, sergeant? He's like, have you heard anything about the crossroads? Yeah, I mean, you mean like Bone Thugs and Harmony, right? Like, see you at the crossroads, and he's like, yeah.
You go below. I'm sorry, that's me and my like yo, listen. If if my
Mm.
if my sis sees this part, when she hear crossroads, she gonna go off. But go ahead.
Which she will, and I hope,
Um,
yeah. Get at her in the
I feel like
comments.
there was definitely a lot happening there, like, they was doing some sacrificing back there and stuff, but go ahead. I don't
Hmm.
like to jump the
Um,
story. What happened? Tell me what
the
happened.
well, that particular region, and I'll just go ahead and say it, and I'm not trying to disrespect
Please say it
anybody's culture or ethnicity.
respectfully.
Respectfully, I'm not, and I will never do that. But that is a spiritual, very heavy spiritual ground for victims of the Holocaust.
Mhm,
Um, there are hundreds of thousands of bodies that still have not been found there yet. Every time they do excavations and things of that nature there, they are still finding bodies. Like I'm not even going. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it.
crazy.
Um, there are hundreds of thousands of souls, flesh, well,
Mhm,
now bone bodies, vessels that have decayed that have never been recovered. Um, so he's telling me about this crossroads thing, and he's asking me, well, where were you parked at? And I told him exactly where I was parked at. Um, and I was like, yeah, the little dirt road right there where the barriers were. I used that dirt road as a turnaround to kind of turn my vehicle around on the two lanes. And
mhm,
then, I parked half of my car on the side and the other half was still on the road. Um, so he's like, okay. So he's like, I don't mean to scare you or anything. And I was like, man, just tell me, like, what are you trying to ask me or what are you trying to tell me? And he's like, well, you were definitely at a crossroads. And that that particular road actually belonged to a family of farmers that have the land outside of the base. Um, the exact time that I wrote down on my log was 0000, which is midnight.
mhm. Yeah.
0000. Um, at that point, he was like, you know what? He was like, I don't want to like mess up your vibe for the rest of the shift. So come holler at me tomorrow and we'll go grab lunch or something and we'll talk about it if you want to. If not, he was like, but I'm gonna give you some advice. Whoever you talk to, be careful who you tell this story to. And I kind of
Mhm,
took that like with a grain of salt, but then I was like, okay. But I kind of see where he's coming from because low key people probably think I'm insane. Like, and he's like, well, did anything happen? And that's exactly what he asked me. I didn't see. He's like, did you see anything? I was like, no, I didn't see anything. But I can tell you what I
mhm,
felt when I got out of that vehicle, and that's the reason why I got my butt back in the vehicle. Um, was it was an immediate. So we have our body armor on, right? Um, that body armor doesn't tighten on its own. It's Velcro. It's fitted to you. It's your
mhm,
size. But I felt like when I got out the car, I felt like as I'm standing there, I actually had one foot still like in the car. You know how you get out the car and you just put your hand on the door,
mhm,
one foot in the car, one foot out.
mhm,
It was that movement that I made, but I felt like a compression. I want to say it was like a squeeze, but it wasn't like a instant squeeze, like a hard squeeze. It was kind of like a
slow.
slow, yeah, like a
Mhm,
slow kind of like I felt like my vest was actually getting tighter, right? So I'm like, damn, I didn't pay it no mind. I was like, okay, man, I may need to adjust it a little bit. Um, and I got back in the car. But that tingle, okay, for all you Soul Tribe members out there, when you get those spidey senses bumps, when you get those
oh, yeah,
goosebumps and
the
them hairs
goosebumps.
raise up,
Yeah.
I felt that in conjunction with my body armor like slowly like feel like it was squeezing me, right?
Mhm.
And I just didn't like that feeling. Anybody that knows me
But you
knows
always
I've
been like you explained in your other episode, you always been in tune, you always been in touch, even though you may not have been, you know, knee
mhm.
deep in, you always had
And that
those gifts, the gift of
yes, and I knew
intuition.
right, and I knew I was different. I always knew I was different from Neha, like we talked about, the last episode. Like me and you talked about, you know, one on one.
Mhm.
And it was just that experience right there. There was only one other instance, and it wasn't my experience. It wasn't my experience. It wasn't my happening. It was actually my mother's happening when my mother's father passed. And guess what CD came out? Guess who dropped the album?
Bone
The
Thugs.
same. It was East 1999. East 1999 was came out that year that my grandfather passed, my mother's father.
Wow.
And I remember it was a Friday. My mother got a phone call. She was in her room watching her recorded soap operas and stuff. She got a
Mhm.
phone call from our family in the Carolinas, and they're like, "Look, your dad just passed."
In South or North?
Um, in South
South.
Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina. Um, I overheard her on the phone talking to one of her friends, one of her best friends from work.
Mhm.
And she was like, I remember her saying something about right before she got the phone call, she felt like a tap on her shoulder.
Mhm.
Um, and she was saying that pretty much she felt as though that was my grandfather telling her that he was gone.
Mhm.
Now, mind
Absolutely.
you, I'm still not at that age. I was like, okay, I'm still trying to comprehend things and trying to, absorb things, right? Um, and I think we had a conversation about that. I told you that my mother, I remember my mother was into like going to see like mediums and
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
stuff like that. So when she had I overheard the conversation, which um, I was ear hustling back in the day.
Shout
Like
out
like
to
all of y'all
mom.
wasn't ear hustling back in the day.
Shout out to
Don't How you
mom.
gonna shout out to mom after
Because
you
I'm
can't
just
get on
giving
mom a
mom a
good
shout
sound right
out.
now.
Because I don't want no problems with mom. Shout out to
Uh,
mom.
but no,
Okay.
I remember hearing that, right? So when that particular situation happened, I was like, okay, like, do I tell? I can't tell anybody, right? I can't just tell anybody because not everybody's going to understand and overstand exactly what I'm talking about. And most of the people that I probably attempt to tell it to are going to say that I'm mentally unstable, I'm crazy. Um, they might want to get me tested for some kind of drugs. They might try to take my security clearance for mental health evaluation or something crazy like that, right?
Mhm.
So it really put me in a place where I was like, okay, how long can I hold this for? Like, and it got to a point where I was like, you know what? The only way for me to deal with this is to actually figure out what happened. Like,
Mm.
I'm a Pisces, I'm adventurous. Like, okay, so the only way for me to deal with this without talking to people, even the people that I was close with
Do
at
some
that time,
research, right?
yeah, like I gotta open Pandora's box. I gotta go in the rabbit hole and I gotta find out exactly for myself what I was experiencing. And that is when I started my spiritual journey. That's when I really
Mhm.
started to reflect on the things that happened when I was younger. I started putting pieces of the puzzle together with my own experience that I had. Like I said, I didn't see anything, but whatever was there, I'm telling you, I'm telling all of the Soul Nation and all of anybody else who's tapped in right now, whatever was there, I felt it. And it wasn't welcoming. It was like, you
It
don't
was a
belong here
lot
type of
of
thing.
I already know it was a lot of unsettled spirits, and I can tell you
Yes.
that because and they did some sacrifices there too, but I can and so the sacrifice could have been okay, it could have been the actual killing of people. Nevertheless,
Mhm.
I know what you're talking about because the way I found out that I had, like, the gift of mediumship, like, I used to see spirits when I was younger,
Mhm.
but when I was 23, there goes that number again, I promise you, I was
I'm gonna
23.
get a
This is
jersey, a 23 jersey to put back here.
yo, Michael Jordan, baby. That's he's like the
I'm gonna get it
GOAT.
to when I'm gonna
I
have to
don't
find me.
care
It
if
ain't gonna be Michael
LeBron wore
Jordan.
I don't care if LeBron wore 23. The GOAT is MJ, period.
It's not gonna be Michael. It's not gonna be MJ. I'm not gonna say his full name. It's not gonna be MJ because it could be Michael Jackson. It could be Michael
Michael
Jerry.
Jordan,
Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jerry. Who the hell
Michael
is Michael
Justin.
Jerry?
It could be any of
Michael
the MJs.
Jesus, what's next?
Yeah,
I
it
ain't
could
messing
be.
with
It could be anybody.
no.
Mary Jesus,
Anyhow,
MJ. It could be anybody.
anyhow, I'm not going on a tangent with you like we did last week. We staying on task. I'm gonna say this. I was 23. World Trade Center happened. Well, I guess I'm kind of giving away part of my age. But
Mm,
the World Trade Center had happened a little bit before, right? Year or two, whatever. They hadn't built anything on that ground yet. Of course, there was still plenty of bodies missing. And I
mm,
was down in Manhattan. I was training. I was about to be working in a bank. So I was at a bank teller training. Um, I didn't know these girls. We met at training and it was lunchtime and they was like, "Hey, let's walk, over to Century 21, which is like a department store
mm,
that sells, I guess, like designer stuff you could say at discount." So we had to walk by the World Trade Center. Now, I don't know these girls. We only been in training together for a couple of days, okay? And the closer we get to the World Trade Center, like I guess I started turning colors. Like I started feeling weak and like I started feeling real weird.
like
So they looking
Avatar.
at me. You
Like
you see my complexion, right? I'm not
yeah, I
I'm
see
not
it.
very light.
Yeah,
So it's like
that in yeah, definitely.
I was flushed, like, I was red and all kind of stuff, so they start asking me, like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know, like, I just feel so, like, weird."
Mm,
And next thing you know, when I tell you, it sounded like hundreds of people talking at the same time, like,
mm,
they knew, like, you wanna talk about Whoopi Goldberg in the movie Ghost? It
mm,
was worse than that. They were all talking at the same time, trying to give me messages for their family, and I was like, "What the like, what's going on here?" And they're
mm,
looking the girls is looking at me, and they're like, "Are you okay? Like, are you okay? Like, what's going on?" And I'm like this at this point, covering my ears like, "Shut up!" Like, because I don't know what's happening. I'm like, "Yo, be quiet. Y'all all talking at the same time, and I can't freaking think. I can't hear." I'm literally sweating, about to pass out, red. So
mm.
they get me into Century 21 and some of these unsettled spirits, and may they rest in peace. Like, may they all find peace because the whole thing was that they had no peace because of what happened. They had no
Right.
closure. Some of them didn't even realize that they were gone.
Mhm. Yep. The
It was,
limbo. Stuck in a limbo.
yeah, they were stuck in limbo and it was bad because it was a lot of them. I made it into the store. I almost passed out in the store. It was like they followed me in the store.
It's one of them
Listen,
things. Um, and I tell people a lot, right? And I've had people that ask me, it's not that they ask me directly, like what do I do? Like what do I feel? Like what can I do? They don't ask me directly. Um, it's by way of me just having a simple conversation with people, and during those conversations, I usually get to the point where I tell them Look, don't be offended by what I'm going to say to you, but this is something that I feel I need to tell you, or this is something that I think you need to hear.
Mhm.
And most of the time, they're like, oh, yeah, well, I just went through this situation and this is going on right now. Okay. You don't have to tell me the whole, I don't want to know the logistics. I don't want to know the whole story. I'm just telling you that while I'm conversating with you, I feel as though there's something that I need to tell you or something that I need to say. So I'm just going to say it. And
Mhm.
if you take offense to it, it's not intentional. Um, and I've built some pretty good relationships
It's
with those people.
it's usually well
Yeah.
received, like, when you're following, what your spirits are leading you to do, it's
Hmm.
usually well received, like, I'm not I woke up to a random person and, "Hey, God told me to tell you." Like, no,
Yeah, that
like, I
creepy vibes.
like,
Yeah, creepy vibes.
"You know?
Yeah, yeah.
God told me
That's
to tell you. God told me to tell you, or Spirit told me."
And you know what? I've seen a few videos. And now that we've already gotten through our episode, it is 1:11. Me and Queen Alana both said, you know what? We're gonna try to keep this at one. I said I'm gonna keep it at 1:11. And she was like, why do I feel like you're getting excited? And I was like, because I am. I'm gonna say 1:11. She said, well, let's make sure we do it before 1:12. So we got 20 seconds to end it before 1:12. Anything else to say to the people before we get out of here?
You just shut me down mid-sentence when we got 7 seconds left. I don't like
You
being
told me
put
to
on the
remind you.
spot.
You told me to
Yeah,
remind you.
you
We're
was
gonna
supposed
go
to
past
remind me at
1:12.
1 hour. We
I
was supposed to hit
was.
that 1 hour mark,
I was.
and
But it's okay. You know what? Because what we do and what we want to do for people and for our soul tribe and just for the world in general is just raise vibrations, um, and bring these gifts that we have to the light for you all to enjoy. Um, I'm gonna say it's a gift and a curse for us because it's something that we've tapped into, and now that we've tapped into it, we can't ignore it. We have to go
I
with
won't
what
listen,
our
I'm not
mission
going
is.
with curse. I'm not go let me tell you something, I ain't
I
going
know.
with
I'm
curse.
saying this. This is. I see this. I see my gift not as a curse in a bad way.
We're gonna
Now,
have to find a
figuratively
better
speaking,
word because I get
yeah,
what you're saying. I get what you're saying, and I've said it before
right. It's not a curse.
because
So I
it's like,
okay. I apologize about that, but it's like once you turn it on, you can't turn it off. You cannot turn it off. Um, and whatever it is, when I turn the page, whatever's on that page, that's my next move. That's my next mission. That's my next go to. I have to do it. I have no choice. If I go against the grain, then I already know the
mm,
consequences.
severe
I
consequences. Listen, let me tell you
already know that.
something. I tried to Forrest Gump my way out of this and so like run, okay,
Mhm.
in so many ways. Like, nah, mm-mm, no, nah. And they've been telling me forever, you're gonna have to share this story. You're gonna have to share this. You're not the only person
Mhm.
that been through this. Like, especially with them, the santeros and the money and the cemetery and the constant, whatever people call it. If you want to call it witchcraft, if you want to call it
Mhm.
obia, whatever the voodoo. People have different names.
The voodoo. Yes.
I don't know. Anyway.
It's it's a very strange world we live in. It's always been very strange because I think a lot of people don't understand and overstand where it is that we exist. Um,
Mm.
I believe that a lot of people still can't grasp the concept that there are other dimensions other than the ones that we are physically in.
Mhm.
Um, but then you apply things like why dogs and cats can hear and see things that we merely can't. They can sense things that we can't. Clearly,
Or
there
that
are other
we or
dimensions
that
and
we
other
ignore
that we
or that
ignore
we ignore because
and been trained to tune out. We've been trained to tune out those
yeah.
frequencies. Um, so for those that say they don't exist, ask your dog or your cat,
Oh, yeah.
and then
Let me tell
go
you
dig some
something
more, do some more research.
really quickly. You said dog and cat. Hmm, should I
Dog,
say this?
cat, any
Listen, no,
other.
the reason you said ask your dog or cat, and what it did was it kinda, like, triggered a thought or a memory in my brain
Mhm,
of this guy my friend was dating. He was from Haiti,
mhm,
and what he said was that, he was like, "Yo, you could be on the beach and a dog will walk up to you and can talk, like, they turn
mhm.
people into dogs over there," and I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, are you serious right now?" But yeah, ask your dog or your cat, it might
Transferring of
answer.
souls, transferring of spirits.
Like Chucky.
Yes,
Listen, the things that they show
yes,
in these movies,
yes.
it ain't all fiction. It
And
ain't all fiction.
I'm not even into voodoo, right? But I know you have um your experience and your involvement with said sectors of practices, spiritual practices that deal with stuff like that. So when you put that in concept of a voodoo doll and actually having that energy from that doll transferred to a physical body, a physical flesh body, that's connected to a spirit. Like I said, I think a lot of people still don't understand and overstand where we are. They don't they don't understand and they don't understand and understand the environment
What
that
somebody
we
told
have
me was
around us.
this. When I was experiencing something because this has been I'm not even gonna kid you. Clearly,
Mhm,
this is energy that has been carried on from my past life. I know in past lives, I know who I was in many of my past lives. I've always been a
mhm.
healer. I've always been like, if I'm on the freaking plantation, I'm the witch doctor they come to,
Right,
like
right.
so I
You
feel
were
like a certain huh? Go ahead,
no,
say
I was about to
something.
say you are the outcast. You were always deemed to be the one that was different, the one that was everybody looked at you. They looked at you in a way that was not acceptable for their culture.
Some people, yes, some people frowned on it while others
Mhm,
understood or overstood or understood um the spiritual, I guess, essence or power, if you will. And I think I said this last time. It's either one or two things. People either can't stand me and don't even know why. Because
mhm,
if they knew me, they would know I'm the girl that will feed your hungry ass. You know what I'm saying? Like,
mhm, mhm.
so you have no reason really to dislike me. Or
Right.
you get the opposite. But dang, it was something I wanted to say and I got off track. So I guess it's time to end. I don't know what you said before
That's
that, but
fine.
I
We
got
can
off
end
track.
it. We gave y'all a lot today. Um,
We did. I
again,
feel like I
oh,
need to
before
go
we leave, you know what? Let
breathe.
me go ahead and put your information up there.
Oh, and
For
let me
any, go ahead, go ahead.
my YouTube, check me out. I don't know if I'll be able to upload this on my page. I'll probably just be able to share it, but Majestic Minds Tarot on YouTube. I do different energy updates, readings. I do basically tarot readings over there.
Mhm,
Numerology
mhm.
or astrology or whatever spirit leads me to tap into. Someone may need the message. I don't care if it's one person. I'm gonna get on and do it because
That's right.
I I have been whipped spiritually for not being obedient in the past, and I don't want no spiritual smoke with my people or with the Most High God, most important.
That's right. That's right. I wouldn't say I was I've been thrashed. Or yes, you could say whipped
I haven't heard that
because
word in so long.
thrashed. That's severe. That's severe whipping. So that's I've definitely had my you gonna learn today and you're gonna learn tomorrow and you're gonna learn next week and you're gonna learn next month. I've had it all. Um so definitely when I say that when I turn my page and I see what my next mission is, what my purpose is at that moment, I move in accordance with that. I've learned not to go against that. And when I
Mm,
do, that's when everything is unleashed. I'm in turmoil. I'm trying to get my bearing together. I'm trying to reground myself. I'm trying to figure out who and what I am again all over again. It's like I kind of get teased with getting the reset button pushed on me. That's what it feels like
mm,
when I go against the grain. And it's a very unsettling feeling because everything feels unstable. Everything feels out of balance. I feel out of tune. I feel like I have to
mhm,
start doing my inner work, my shadow work again. So it's kind of like, okay, you don't want to do this. Okay, well, you're gonna have to start over again. That's the message that I get when I have attempted to go against the grain. So I
mm.
just learned just to rock with it, and I'll be okay because the divine will always put me in a situation for me to be successful, for me to be prosperous. Um, that's what I've learned through my whole spiritual journey.
Mm.
Is just to trust the process, and trust that the
You know, it
divine.
sounds easier than
Hmm.
what it really is. You know, when you're being told to do certain things, like just imagine right now if Spirit said, "Hey, listen, sell all your belongings.
Mm,
I need you to sell everything, and I need you to pack up, and I need you to move to Portugal." And it's like, "What are you talking about? Like what?" So when it's that, and to someone that may sound extreme, but don't think that it doesn't happen. You hear about people just suddenly just boom, I'm doing this. I'm packing up, I'm moving, I'm leaving. You see people leave the industry, whether that's artists, actors, you never hear from them again. It's like, what happened to him? He's somewhere meditating in Dubai. I don't know. Like
facts, facts, and
but
you know
that
what is
trust.
happening? It's happening more and more. If people really pay attention to what's going on in this so-called um, entertainment industry and the industry that's been happening for I want to say the past like year or two, right? And it's even the artists that have all of these kids out here dancing to, they were yesterday. They were yesterday now. There are no artists coming up with any good albums right now. So guess what? All the old school lyricists, the MCs, they coming out with mixtapes and stuff now.
Mm,
Like, and it's crazy that you mentioned that because that is the reality that the current reality that a lot of people are living in. Um, they finally got that calling. A lot of them, they're still asleep. But most of them, when they get that calling, to everybody else is like, where did this person go? Like, what happened to such and such? Like, how can you have 5 albums that go back to back and sell thousands, if not millions, of copies, and then you just fall off the whole entertainment industry, like the whole ladder? Well, they
yeah.
found their purpose, and they decided that they weren't going to fight the resistance, and their whatever divine gave them to follow. That's exactly what they're doing. Um,
It's
and I
not
think if
easy. It's not
no,
easy
it's
to
not.
trust.
It is
I but
not.
people try
It's
to make
not.
it seem like it's so easy to trust, and it's not. Like,
Right.
it's not. People look at, like, my life and be like, "Oh, you have so much faith and you trust." I'm like, "Yo, I be scared as hell when I do half the stuff
Hmm.
I do, but I
Hmm.
still do it because I'm the type of
Yes.
person that you ain't gonna stop me, like, I'm still gonna do it, Imma push through the fear, but it's
Hmm.
still scary.
Right.
So,
And
yeah, I
even
just
with
wanted to
my
say that about trust.
no, that's trust. That's a good way to end it. That's a good way to end today's
Yeah.
show. Um, Even with my situation, with my whole awakening experience, um, that whole thing boiled down to me being able to trust whatever I was feeling at that moment.
Mhm. Mhm.
I went with that so-called gut feeling, aka intuition, which at that point I was not tapped into, my intuitive abilities, my intuitive gifts. Um,
You didn't realize you was.
no, no, and I've always had it, but I know at that moment when I felt that, I had to trust what I felt. I had, and there's no telling. And even the super, I didn't say that part about the story, but he said is when he read, you know, the whole thing about what happened and where it happened, and he asked me for a rundown of everything that I did. He was like, "There's no telling what would have happened if you would have pushed that hazard button a third time." And I was like, "Dude, like, I don't even want to talk about it no more. I'm glad I
Mm.
didn't push it, but it was something that told me not to do it again. I did it twice, and then um, so yeah, that whole trust thing and just accepting accepting that whatever your purpose is and whatever messages you're channeling will always steer you in the right direction. Once you go against that or you decide that you want to deviate from that, then that is when things become disastrous and turmoil starts to unfold. Um, and just like you said, um, a lot of times when I do stuff, I go with a blindfold on, but my intention and what I'm doing is already set.
Mhm.
Um, but most of the time, it's we go into it blindfolded, and there's no guarantee that it's going to be fruitful for us. But at the end of the day, um, having that trust and definitely knowing thyself for you, the ones that read the Bible, know thyself. These are a lot of gems that have been dropped for a long time, and it's been going over our heads forever. A lot of gems out
But
there. They've been out there.
at some
We're gonna go
point, we
back
gonna
to
get
that.
into all of that because I don't really
Yeah,
know, like, I don't really know what's your take on the Bible and stuff, but I will definitely I'm
I love
I
the
will
Bible.
definitely okay, good.
I
You
absolutely
know,
love the Bible. You
I
know.
took that class last year with Iyanla Van Zant. It was How to Love the Bible because
Mhm.
I was one of those people who felt like almost jaded with Christianity, like, "Oh,
Mhm.
y'all lied to us. Y'all enslaved us. This ain't my religion." But from a metaphysical standpoint, you
Yes.
know
Exactly.
you go through that phase, like, stuff
Yes.
where,
Yes.
like, you're angered by certain
Mhm.
lies on indoctrination. I went through that. I'm being
Mhm.
honest. I went through that. That was part of my journey, my spiritual journey. But
We'll get into that.
yeah, how to love
But
the Bible. Yeah.
how I love the Bible. I love, you know what? I love the Quran. I love the
Mhm.
Gospel. I love
I read the
the
Quran. I
Torah.
never read the full Quran.
Yeah. Um.
But I did learn
The,
some Arabic when my brother was in the Nation of Islam.
okay.
Sure
Okay.
did.
And there's no pun intended to anybody that's tapped in.
Oh,
I
no,
am
no,
not
no. Listen, let me tell you
anti-religion.
something. I don't eat no pork. Ain't no pork on my fork, baby. I've got to experience some Islam with my brother. Shout out to my brother, true master, dope guy.
There you go.
So yeah, I
Peace,
respect
peace
all
and
of it.
blessings to you
I
out
got
there,
a
brother.
little bit of all of it. I got a little
Wherever
bit of
you
all of
are.
it. Yeah. He watching
Um.
right now. Say one more time. He
So we
ain't
go ahead
watching.
and
He sleep. He sleep. Good night.
all right, everybody. It was a pleasure as always. Thank you for tapping in to the MM podcast. This is my lovely host, Queen Majestic Alana.
Night,
I am
y'all.
Multiversal. Peace, y'all. Blessings.
See y'all next week. Next week, episode 3. I don't know what it's about.
Next week.
We might have to
Next
talk to the
week.
boss.
That's right. Every Thursday. Every Thursday, y'all. All right.
Yeah.
Peace.
All right. Peace.